So if you guys are just tuning in, Kim has, you didn't hear the start of this, but Kim has a roast in the oven. And
I do.
It's only at 50 degrees. That's what we were just talking about.
I need to cook it to 140.
Is it going to be okay?
It's going to be fine.
How long? Wait, a roast at 50 degrees is going to take a long time to cook.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Not 50 degrees. 50 degrees is like not even baking temperature.
The internal temperature, which, okay.
Oh, how many degrees, though, are we talking
50 degrees. It was like 55 degrees
Buddy.
internally. I have a thermometer in it right now, and it is temping my pork.
Okay.
And so, what a weird
I don't even know
sentence.
what that means.
So I have a pork.
What does it mean to tempt your pork?
Rib roast.
Are you trying to get it to sin?
I have a pork rib roast in my oven. It's going to turn into pork chops.
Okay.
But I have to put a thermometer in it in the middle of it to make sure that the middle of it gets cooked to the correct temperature that would kill all of the foodborne illness bacteria.
I can't get over the fact that you smell like soap. Like
I smell so good.
You're talking, and all I can smell is the soap from the bathroom.
It's better than the chicken skins. but so this is just a public service.
All right.
This is a public service announcement.
Hey, I want to talk to you about my spaghetti.
Your pork chops only need to be cooked to 145 degrees internally.
Yeah.
No, not everybody knows that.
Everybody
thinks it's
don't overcook
165.
them and cook them slow. Yeah, don't ever cook meat like super fast.
But a lot of have you ever had that? Have you ever had those real hard to eat pork chops?
Oh yeah, they're really tough.
Yeah.
So how do you get them to soften up?
That you don't cook it as
don't cook it fast.
All you have to do is cook it to 145 degrees Celsius. Nope, not Celsius.
Yikes, that would be so bad.
Whoa, 130. What number is it? 145.
I don't know. You're
Fahrenheit.
the chef. I'm just sitting here for the ride. I have no idea.
145 degrees Fahrenheit. And then
hopefully
they
it's
will
Fahrenheit.
be so juicy and delicious.
The purchase will be delicious.
So that's your chef stuff for the day.
All right.
Hi, guys.
You got any more? Is there anything else?
I have so many. Don't crack your eggs on the edge of a bowl.
Why not? How do you crack them?
On the counter.
Oh yeah, I do that. I drop them.
What?
Yeah, because they won't actually break open. You just from probably just a couple maybe 6 inches, just drop it.
No, you just hold it in your hand and crack it.
Oh, you could do that too.
You shouldn't do it on a bowl because then the shell gets put into the egg.
Okay.
And that could introduce salmonella into the egg.
You're a true actual chef that cooks for other people. Because in our house, it's like, hey, you won't get salmonella. Let's go. It's between you and God. This is what's going to happen.
If you cook it long enough, then it'll kill it all, I'm sure.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hi.
So the banter's a little shorter today, but that's okay. You're listening to another episode of Grease and Grace. My name's Jordan.
My name's Kim. I'm looking at all of the things on your shelf. I look at your shelf all of the time.
That's fine. I love it.
There's
why they're
just
there.
You have a black Santa up there.
Yeah.
And I am always curious.
It's from a friend of mine. It's a gift. That was a gift. Actually, so we used to say like Black Santa all the time, and then because we're like, why we're Santa's always white. I don't know how it came about, but we had this dialogue about Black Santas, and then we would always send each other the Black Santa emoji around the Christmas times.
And so now you have one.
And then yeah, she gave it to me.
We'd be inclusive.
And I was like, oh, sweet, Black Santa. Yeah. Why does he gotta be white? I don't know. My Santa is definitely black. So
do you think that there's other is it nationalities?
Does that offend you that
Asian?
I have one of those up there?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just always look at him and I'm like,
what's up with
his
that guy?
name? What's his name?
Oh, I don't know. Chris Kringle?
I look. We could have a whole podcast just on your shelf.
Oh yeah,
and just
they tell a story. Man.
We're not going to.
I need to kind of update them actually, because.
Do you dust them?
No. I should have said yes. I wanted to lie to you so bad right there, but I don't. I don't know how you would. There's too much.
Well, you would
stuff.
take your stuff down. Do you dust your shelves at home?
Oh yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Just not here. Huh. You're like, no.
No, I can't do that.
No, I bet you're gonna.
Yeah, like they all tell like there's so many stories on like this shelf. Like
Is there?
like
All right.
every little like item up there has some sort of story behind it. So I don't put anything just up there.
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. Yep.
That's jazzy. Anyways,
Used to have like 1,400 books, and I gave them all away.
you used to have just a bunch of books on here?
Oh, yep.
Oh,
I gave every
that
single
would
one
have been
of them away.
boring.
Like, well, that's what I thought, and like people would walk in and they'd be like, "Whoa, you're super smart." And I'm like, "No," like, and I had read pretty much all of them, but at the same
Really?
time, yeah, but at the same time, I was like, "Okay, this is dumb. Like, this is not like it's who I am, but it's not who I am."
Yeah.
It kind of like
yeah.
got to like the defining thing.
It would be like the. Have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah. No, missed that one.
The shelves.
Is that
in
like
the
is that a movie?
the shelves in Beauty and the Beast. Like that's what I imagine your office would be like. You have to like go on the ladder. Like
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, is that a film? Like the recent? It just come out?
So there's people right now who are getting books from like Goodwill and like Salvation Army and
Yeah,
stuff like that, just to put on their shelves. They've never read them.
Yeah, that's and then
it.
there's this new craze where people put them on backwards. I'm not a fan.
What do you mean? Like the
So instead of seeing the binding, you see like they just put it up there. It's all decor. They don't do it. It's just like it's weird looking, but whatever.
that's strange.
Hey, you do you. You know, like whatever. I'm definitely not
I
borrowing
like-
that book because I don't know which one it is.
I like to take the what do you call it? The outside of hardcover books. I
the
take the paper off.
It's called the sleeve.
Yeah, I like to take that
Take
off.
the sleeve off.
That looks nicer.
Yep.
Anyways,
Anyways.
I've read my books.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I started doing a long time ago was I read a book. Now I have all the books that are in my office. These are all books that I cherish.
Yeah.
So these are all like that's why I've kept them for a reason, and they're all kind of stacked in regards to like specific genres of things. But
He has a Bluey book up there. Just kidding.
I was like, it's like, wait, I do? I don't think that's true. Shut up. But I've started doing this thing where I read a book, and if I like it, I will give it to somebody that I thought about while I was reading it,
Oh,
and I
that's
sign
a
the
great
inside
idea.
cover like I was thinking about you the whole time I was reading this book. I wanted you to have it. It's a cool gift.
Do you write notes in your books and then give them to people? Like if you
No, if I've read a book and like I've actually like outlined and stuff, like it probably has become mine
Yeah.
because I want to keep it. But oftentimes no, like I'll buy them a brand new copy.
nice. I like it.
boy.
I like it. Anyways,
So you're listening to Grease and Grace.
Yeah.
And each week we take on a new topic. We look into the greasy and the graceful aspects of life that we live in. Sometimes it's a current event. Sometimes it's pop culture. Sometimes it's like a season, like winter.
yep.
And sometimes it's the ocean. I don't know how we always go back to the ocean thing, but we do talk about the ocean. Or we did. And now we talk about it all the time.
Which came up in conversation like this past week.
It's going to come up again because we're studying Revelation right now at church, and I would love to go back and revisit it now, knowing everything that I know. But anyway, that's totally different topic. Let's not go down that
Part
rabbit trail.
2 coming soon.
Hello, people like can't wait. Schedule the episode. So what we do is we basically look at everything from two sides. We start with the greasy side of things, which are kind of like nitty gritty challenges, controversies, stuff that you might say, that's pretty messy. And then, so we get our hands dirty in that regard. And then we clean it up with gasoline. If you heard last
You listened to
week's
last-
episode.
We wash our DNA.
We watched the DNA. We like, hey, there's got to be something good here. So hope, inspiration, ways we can kind of like rise above this mess and see the good, maybe potential for growth.
Yeah.
Bring a little light, into those dark situations. So that is what we do. At the beginning of the episode, Kim gives us a topic. I give you a little bit of an explanation, and then we dive in. So today, Kimberly, we are talking about
We are talking about the act of adulting. Just being an adult. So I don't know. I feel like every week as of lately, I'm like, how are you even going to look this up?
Every time
Define
that I
adulting.
think that it's not going to have a definition behind it, sure enough, I can find one.
Shut your mouth. There's
I
a
kid you
definition
not.
for adulting?
It's also like kind of freaky how fast I can find it.
Your computer is listening at this point.
I
It's
think
like,
so.
we need to tune in.
I walked by my Alexa the other day and it's like, hey, congratulations on being over 40. What?
What?
No, it's just kidding. It didn't happen.
What? That's wild.
I do get some wild. I know my computer's listening. Like I mean, I'm sure that's a conspiracy theory, but there are so many times I get like an ad that pops up and I'm like, way too close. Like, and I didn't even Google that.
Oh, what happened the other day? There was something that I was talking to Josh about. I had not like looked it up, and I kid you not, like I opened my computer and there was like something regarding that topic.
Oh,
and I
it's
was like,
super weird. You're like, hello.
I didn't look this up. Or like right now, my Instagram like knows that I have bought a house. Probably because of like the content that I've watched, because I've pulled up a lot of, so we're planning on like totally renovating. We're not doing it for a while yet.
Yeah.
But we're planning on renovating. And so like I've been on Pinterest, like kind of just like looking at like different kind of styles that I want our house to be.
Yeah.
And then so that's probably why. But like lots of renovations have been popping up on my Instagram as of lately, and I watch it because it's interesting. Like I just learned a fun fact yesterday about like you can like dry pour concrete for like not like a well-made sidewalk, but I mean like you can like level it off and everything, and then just like wet it with your hose, like with the like sprinkle thing.
I love how excited you're getting about this.
I am.
You're like, and did you know? And I'm like, okay, yeah.
I've been learning just so many like little things, and so either our house is gonna be wonderfully renovated,
or it's gonna be a Pinterest like a collaboration.
No, if you've met my husband, you will.
He's not doing that.
He's
No,
not
he's not
doing
doing
like
that.
he's gonna do it the old school fashion way.
All right, you ready?
Anyways,
Adulting is a neologism. Neologism.
Is that right?
I don't know what that means. In logistic, a neologism is a newly formed word, term, or phrase that has achieved popularity or institutional recognition and is being accepted into mainstream language.
Being accepted.
I didn't know there's a
Adulting is
name for
being-
that.
I didn't know. What is it called?
Neologism. 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 Huh. That's interesting. Anyway, adulting is a neologism for growing up that became popular on English-speaking social media in the second half of the 2010s. American writer Kelly Williams Brown has been credited with coining the term. Whatever. You know.
What did you say? Sorry, I'm trying to look up the pronunciation of this word.
Kelly Williams Brown is a New York Times bestselling American writer and author. She is commonly credited with inventing the word adulting, which refers to the small actions that together compromise maturity. How do you get credited with that? I don't think that's true.
That's like how. I mean, like, how did anything get?
That's interesting.
Maybe it's
I'm
like the
sorry.
first documented.
I'm trying not to like go
Writing
down
of
that
it.
rabbit trail, but listen here, Kelly.
We need to chat with you.
Miss Brown.
She writes though. She's a.
Yeah, she is a New York Times bestselling American writer and author.
So maybe she put it in a book.
She could have. I'm going to look it up in a minute. The term is commonly used to refer to the context of tasks and activities that are necessary to carry out in order to live and function within mainstream civilized society, but are typically only done by adults due to pragmatic, financial, physical, or legal restrictions rooted in age. Some examples. You ready?
Yeah.
Paying yearly taxes, paying utility bills, shoveling snow.
Sounds like trash already.
Jury duty, paying your monthly mortgage or rent for housing, driving, commuting, food, clothing, leisure, and pleasure.
Kids gotta eat. Kids gotta. You can't be having no naked babies running around.
Can't
They
get
gotta-
no naked babies. Speaking of Kelly Williams, let's see if she has. So yeah, she has put out a few books about the topic, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Just on adulting.
Sounds like it. Yeah. What
Okay.
do you do when you Julie Beck has written on it. She has a book called "What Do You Do When Do You Become an Adult?" And then Amy Ball has a book, An Advice by a 28-Year-Old Not Quite. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Huh.
There you go.
Well, look at that.
Fire away, Kim. Shots fired. I can't wait for this
okay,
one.
wait. So what age-ish did you start to feel like an adult?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a question for all of our listeners. Like,
what age
when
did
you start feeling like an adult?
Oh, that's a good question. You first. I'm going to have to think about it.
I don't know. I don't ever
There's oftentimes where I don't feel like an adult.
like, I don't ever feel like an adult. But, like, it's definitely been, like, since I've been in my 30s.
Yeah.
I think more so than my 20s. So I have a whole theory.
Okay, yeah.
Of different ages.
I love this.
Of different age groups.
This is going to go off the wire.
So everybody is like scared to age, right?
Okay,
Like,
I'm not.
So I'm not either.
Yeah.
I'm like stoked to age because I'm like, okay, so 20s, so you have your teens, and your teens, you like have no judgment on what is good and what is not. Like,
you actually go before that. Like, you have adolescence and you have teenage. But anyway,
but like,
I'm trying with
you're not thinking at all. So then in your 20s,
there's no consequences for your actions at that age.
No, there's not. So then you're in your 20s. There's still not really many consequences, at least in like the first half of your 20s. Like, first half of your 20s, for the most part, is like good time.
You can do something and recover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, like, the second half of your 20s, you're starting to like recognize that there's like, oh, there's a consequence for my action. But like,
I stayed out late last night. I ate Taco Bell and I don't feel good this morning.
Yeah, but
it's
like,
weird
you
consequences,
still go
but
out.
yeah,
like, you're still like doing the things.
You're like, I'm going to do this anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then you hit like your 30s.
Okay.
And your 30s is like, I'm not going out because I don't want to feel like trash tomorrow morning.
That's true.
And you're like more tired.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have kids like in the later portion of their 20s.
This is so weird. I'm reading a book on this right now, but go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like, they have their kids kind of in like the later 20s. Like, we had Miles
24,
and Owen.
25, 6.
I had 27.
Okay.
And so like by the 30s, if you have kids, or if you're going to have kids, you have had them
for the most part. Yeah. There's always exceptions.
So the 30s is like you're dealing with your children. You're like in the thick of your job, your career. Like, you've kind of made a career choice.
Starting to get some experience.
Yeah. Like, you're no longer like, you're kind of starting to figure it out a little bit.
Okay.
Then you hit your 40s.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay.
So then you hit your 40s. This is just observation at this point. But
Okay,
you hit your 40s. By this time, like, your kids that you had are like,
I'm loving my 40s, by the way.
Middle school,
I love
high school ages for your kids.
Yeah.
So you're able to kind of sleep a little bit better than what you did in your 30s. So
it's
you're
different.
Yeah. So, but like,
you're not getting up in the middle of the night with a kid.
Exactly. So you can converse with your kids, and your kids at this age kind of understand things. They don't necessarily listen. So like, that's a whole different thing. But for the most part, like 40s, you're just kind of like hanging out.
Yeah.
Like,
it's called your golden years for a reason, because you're like, you're
still feeling good, still feeling great.
Yeah.
Then in your 50s, I cannot wait for 50s. Like, I'm telling you, like, I cannot wait.
Kids
for
are gone.
50s. Kids are gone.
Yeah.
You are well established in your career for the most part, unless you like made a total change, or anything like that.
Now your kids are having kids.
Your kids are
they're getting there.
They could have kids
In your 50s, like your late 50s, they're probably having kids. Yeah.
And so, but like, it's just you in your house again, for the most part.
Falling back in love with your spouse.
Yeah, like you're kind of getting to know each other, and so, but like, you've been well established in your career, so hopefully you have a little bit of extra like cash flow, coming in, so you can
maybe creeping up on paying off your house.
Yeah. So like, you're going into like being able to kind of vacation a little bit more. Cannot wait for that. And you're still feeling good. Like, your ailments aren't.
My prayer for you is that you enjoy your 30s, though. Like,
yes.
Don't wish it away. But anyway,
yes.
Go ahead. There's some people listening, like, stay where you are.
No, I've very much like, especially in my second, like the second portion of 30s has just kind of gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
But then by 50s, like, you're still feeling okay. You can kind of go and do still a lot.
Yep.
And 60s, I feel like you're still able to kind of do a lot. Maybe you're getting a little bit more tired from,
maybe
at that point,
maybe
like, you have your grandkids. So that's like a second lease of like, not second lease on life, but
no, I'm tracking with you.
Yeah. And then, and so like, I feel like 50s though is like sweet spot.
Wait till you get to your 40s. It's so fun.
It could be.
I'm
not there yet.
And you can only speak for the generation you're in.
Yeah.
But like, it is kind of this, I don't know, like, yesterday, for example, my oldest and I, she was gonna like jump on her iPad.
Yeah.
And she closed it and was like, "I'll just talk to you." And I was like, "What?" Like
won
what
the
is that?
lottery.
yeah. And I was like, "All right," so like we were driving somewhere and she just like, like just it was like, "You're a human being."
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I'm not there yet. I'm desperately grasping at that. My oldest.
And then this morning she just self-imploded. So like, we had a good moment and it's gone.
You gotta savor that.
Yeah.
So, but I think my 30s, I feel the most adult.
Sure. Yeah.
Like we just bought a house, so maybe that could do.
That's
something.
probably part of it. Yeah.
But like, because I've never done jury duty, I don't even know what do you do for jury duty. That sounds like garbage. I don't want to be a part of that.
The funniest, you asked when I felt like an adult.
Yeah.
There are times that I feel like an adult.
Yeah.
Not like, I don't think there's like one moment. Like there's definitely like been these little slivers where I'm like, oh yeah. So like you talk about like buying a house, right?
Yeah.
So the other day we drove by this house and we would never move. Well, knock on wood, like who knows? But we're pretty content with where we're at, like our house and stuff like that. But we came from the country. So the country's always kind of like a possibility.
You're close to the country.
Yeah, so we look at it, we're like, oh, like land or whatever the case is. So we see this house and it was for sale. And like you get like the description of the house. And I immediately think, well, when was the last time that the HVAC system was removed and how old are the shingles on the house and like you get water in the basement. When I first bought a house, I was like, check out this bedroom. This is amazing, like, or
I'm going to paint this one this color. I'm going to paint this room this color.
Yeah, like,
I'm going to put disco balls in every room. It's going to be cool.
Now I'm like, huh, like, okay.
This looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, like, oh, really? 2010.
How's the foundation?
Kicking like the side of the house. Like, and then you just immediately just like throw it out. You're like, nope, not worth it. Like, not doing it.
It's just like when
That's
you start.
how you know you're an adult. Yeah.
I think I too like have moments. I think this year I'm 36. I think maybe last year was the first time that I realized like I'm the adult that people are looking for in the room. If somebody's like, is there an adult in the room? It's no longer like, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking around.
And then you do that. Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I'm like, I'm not ready to be an adult. No, choose another one. Like, choose somebody else.
Well, and now, like where I'm sitting at, which is really weird, is when you have the epiphany that you have the experience. Like, because I never had the experience before.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Bethany brought this to my attention the other day. She's like, Jordan, you've been doing what you've been doing for like over 20 years. And I'm like, oh, like, I know nothing. Like I don't know what you're talking about because I don't feel old. I don't feel older. But yeah, you're right. Like there's some of these moments where you go, like it's kind of like looking around, being like, I'm the adult.
Yeah,
no,
I had the exact same realization. I was talking to somebody in a kitchen. I was doing a presentation for them, and they were like, "So how long have you been like commercially cooking?"
Sure,
and she just asked like, "How long have you been cooking for?" And I was like, "Oh, a couple, like I don't know, a decade." And I was like,
maybe longer.
And then I realized I have decades under my belt. And I was like, I was not prepared for that answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home and I told Josh, Josh, I've been like in commercial kitchens for over 20 years. And he was like, no, you haven't. And I was like,
you do the math.
Dude,
yeah.
I totally have been.
Yeah.
And that is insane.
Did my first internship at 18. So like, even if I mean, and here's the other crazy thing. This is what makes you feel like an adult. That's really weird is when you stop giving your credentials. Because when you first start, you kind of want to like throw down your accolades, right? Like, oh, this is why I'm good at this, and you're not. You're not good at it. Like you're not. You're a baby. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. Then all of a sudden, you get into a situation where you're like, I don't even want to tell you how long I've been doing this because it's gonna.
Yeah. I don't know when I like started feeling like an adult. Other
like
than
I said,
like the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think there's an actual time. It's more just like there are moments where I go, oh no.
What were your moments?
The house was one of them. Cars are like that now. Like, is this
It's a substantial financial investment.
exactly. So like right now, like I really want a Jeep.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the most impractical thing in the world. But I've had impractical vehicles my whole life. So I don't care. Like I've driven motorcycles, all that other stuff. So like, but then you look at it and you go, you really like, do you really need this? And the answer to that question is no, but I don't care. You know?
When you start making practical decisions is when you become an adult.
Well, we drive SUVs, right? So Bethany likes the SUV because it's third row and she doesn't feel like she's driving a minivan.
Yeah.
Our SUVs kind of going the way of the Buffalo. We're sinking money into it just because that's what we do, you know, because we don't have money to buy a new one or whatever the case is. But the other day I was like, we could definitely buy a minivan. You know, like it makes sense. We could take all the seats out, use it kind of like a truck. And then I'm like, Jordan, you have a truck. I'm like, oh yeah, I do have a truck. Like, those things are like the most ridiculous things ever.
Yeah. It's wild to me that like, so talking about like the
I'm going to give you a couple more
of
too.
Adulthood.
Yeah.
It's wild to me that in your 20s, hospitals let you take your children that you have had.
Oh, wild.
Because, like, I look back and I'm like, girl, you are not an adult.
I will never forget that. I'll never forget when the lady, we had our first kid, Kareen, and she's like, all right, you guys are good to go. And I'll never forget, like, I pulled the car up, you know, because that's what you do. And Bethany's, like, standing there. She's got, like, the car seat or whatever. And I knew right there. I was like, oh, no. Like what?
Who let this happen?
It's kind of like when you get your license, right? Like, okay, go drive, and you're like,
but at least you like have driver's ed. There's not like parent.
No.
There's what is it?
There's
the
class.
flower. The flower.
Yeah.
Did you have the flower? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It wasn't the flower. We had like the dolls that you took home.
Yeah, we had the dolls,
and I passed on that.
Do you know how I passed on that? This is how I know this class does not work. I'm sorry to the home ec teachers because I know a couple of them. But like, okay, so I had my best friends and I, there was like a little trio of us in high school, and we were like, we're all gonna have our babies together and we're gonna bring the babies together and they're all gonna just like exist and it's gonna be
Didn't
great.
happen.
So, well, no, it did. But like there was one friend who she got a horrid grade.
Oh no.
So you can choose, I think, or at least in our class, we could choose like if we were going to like have the breastfed baby or the bottle fed baby.
Oh, yeah.
And so I learned from the other students that if you got the breastfed baby, there's like a clip that you're supposed to like put on your shirt.
Okay.
To like
this is not
simulate
okay.
it.
Yeah.
I put a hat on my baby. And I just clipped that little like sensor thing to the hat, and so it would wake up in the middle of the night, and I would just flip it down and then
go right back to bed. You're good.
Got a great grade on it.
That baby's an A. Baby's an A.
That does not prepare you for real life at all.
I'll give you another one.
There's no driver's ed for having children.
There is not. I'll never forget that. I was like, I just looked at Bethany. I was like, who does this? Like, what is? And this is a good one. When I realized like I can't eat something late at night. That okay, whether
like
it's
spicy,
eating something, drinking something, for example, no caffeine after like 2 p.m. Like if I have any caffeine, like I mean I'm just wowed for sound. Or like ice cream's out. Like I just can't eat ice cream at night.
That's
But it's like, hey, you guys want to go out for ice cream? I'm like, how about no?
It's like when you start realizing like there are consequences, and that's really what it is.
100%.
Like that's when you become an adult. When you start making logical choices.
We went to Dairy Queen. This was last summer.
To better your life.
And Bethany and I, it's like 8 o'clock at night. We rode our bikes there, you know, or whatever. And we're sitting there, and the girls are eating ice cream. Mm-hmm. Her and I didn't order any because we can't. You know, so I'm staring at these two kids.
Well, you can, but then you have a bad time.
Yeah. Then you know, she's on the upstairs bathroom. I'm in the downstairs bathroom. Yeah, like that's not okay. And it's like I'm sitting there, like we're both just sitting there watching these girls like eat ice cream. And Bethany looks at me, and she looks at the girls. And she's like, enjoy it while you can. And I'm like, that's an adult moment. Like, that's where we're living at. Like, I asked her the other night, I said, hey, you want to go to Taco Bell? It's like 9 o'clock at night. She's like, first of all, it's bedtime.
And I was going to say, you're up at 9 o'clock. Wow.
Oh, I said it to her as I was going to sleep. You know? Like,
talk about. Let's go.
And she's like, second of all, no.
Let's live like we're young again.
Other places, going to the dentist.
What do you mean?
So when you go, it's not just the dentist. It can also be the doctor. When you go to the dentist or the doctor, and this is so funny, and you realize you have to pay for it.
Yeah,
That is a kick in the teeth.
I'll take that one step further because like the first time that I ever felt like an adult was when I had to make my own appointments because I remember like stress sweating. My armpits were just like full blown onion blossoms. I had to talk to the receptionist and I have to make an appointment. How do you make an appointment? My mom always used to make the appointments. I can't.
And you want to just say it like, Carmen's my mom. Can you call her? Like 26. Like, once you call your mom, you're like, Mom, what do I do? Just call the lady. She'll walk you through it. And you're like, no. Yeah.
So I like having to call and then like, they only ask like very basic information.
Very basic information.
But like, I don't know.
And then you get there and they're like, and you fill out the clipboard. You're like,
it's like, what's your family history? And you're like, I don't know. Does anybody have pulmonary embolisms in our family? I don't know. I've never seen that. Is that something my mom has? And then you're like calling and it's like, Mom, do you have asthma?
Do you remember the first time you took the boys like in and they asked like all the boys like that's a kick in the face too. Because the lady gave me like the clipboard and I'm filling it out for like Kareen or whatever. She's like, when was she born? And I'm like,
that's a great question.
And I look up at the lady. I'm like, am I gonna get graded on this quiz?
How much is it gonna mess my kid's life up if I tell you the wrong answer?
Well, and I had it like she just asked for the year, so I got the year right, and then I walked up, I give her the clipboard back, and she's like, "Do you know the day and the month of her birthday?" I'm like, "I'm her dad."
Why are you asking me so many hard questions, ma'am?
And at that moment, I just want to walk out. You know what I mean? Be like, they don't need to be here.
I'm going to take my kid somewhere else who doesn't ask these hard questions. I didn't study. This isn't a test. I graduated college already.
I need to go to the doctor where they just take my kid and they're like, we got this. Like,
that'd be so much easier.
Like, we're good.
That'd be so much easier. I have learned, though, like, for if anybody is listening to this who is not yet an adult or is like on the brink of becoming an adult, just tell the people you don't know what you're doing.
Amen. Just say I have no idea.
There's been so many times I'm like, I've never done, like, still at 36 I'm still like, listen, this is not something that I have ever done. I don't know, you gotta walk me through this. And it's like, oh yeah, that's no problem.
It's like you're sitting there and you're filling out the clipboard and all of a sudden you're just like, and the lady's like, are you okay, sir? No, I need to go home.
I need to call my mom.
I'll give you another one. I got so many of these. The feeling of new socks and underwear as an adult.
You buy yourself new socks.
when you get genuinely excited over the fact that like they're coming like in the mail or whatever. You're like, hey, I ordered new socks the other day. I have this new rule as an adult that as soon as a hole appears in my socks, I throw them out. Like just the second it's there. Like
I do that too.
But then I kind of get excited that the new pair's coming.
I remember the first time that I bought socks for myself and I realized I can pick whatever kind I want. Like if I want crew socks, I can get crew socks.
Right. But then you make a decision and you make the bad one. And you're like, oh,
and you're like,
no.
oh no, Mom, what kind did I get? Because I thought that I got low. Like there's all these like tiny little.
You get one blister and you're like, I obviously don't know what I'm doing.
And I don't have the money at that time to
now
buy
I'm screwed. I'm going to have to wear these for like 4 years. These socks are going to have to stay on my feet.
Not realizing too, like, having an adult and like, or not having an adult, having like a job, you have adult money, you can spend that money on everything and anything you want. But like recognizing at a certain point, like you have to kind of like use that money for responsible things.
You have to ration it out. Yeah, that's why Bethany does the bills in our house for 2 years in our marriage.
Have that Jeep by now.
Oh, 100%. We would be driving like
sitting on beanbag chairs,
eating bologna sandwiches. Like my kids would be like, "What? I can't have bologna again." I'd be like, "Hey, listen, you can. Like it is what it is."
But you see this Jeep out here?
like that.
That's
We don't have gas in it, but it's good. The other thing is like, I just wish people would admit they don't know what they're doing.
Right?
Like you alluded to it, but
Yeah.
I think it's so like when you get to be an adult, there's so many times where it's like, oh, we all have it together. We do not all have it together. Nobody knows what they're doing. I wish somebody would have told me that when I was like 20, when they're like, hey, you're going to go into the world. Everybody's going to look put together.
Yeah.
They're going to look like they know what they're doing. They don't.
Exactly.
They have no idea.
I remember so many times like looking at adults and being like, man, they have it together. I remember looking at adults now and being like, man, they have it all together. But then once you like talk to them, nobody knows what they're doing.
Oh,
we're all figuring it out.
I'll talk to people and they're like, oh, I Googled that the other day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're supposed to know what you're doing. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have a buddy of mine. He's like, oh, I Googled how to fix my car the other day. And I'm like, what? You put all that faith, like for real? Like, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's a very noble thing.
Nobody knows what they're doing until you figure it out.
Yep. And then at the end of every YouTube video, it should be like, I hope this works out well for you.
It's so true. Like the only reason that like somebody knows what they're doing is because at one point they
it didn't work out.
Didn't know what they were
100%.
doing, and they were like, somebody's got to show me, or I gotta look it up.
Yeah.
But like, there's especially because like I had a career change in the middle of my 30s.
Yeah.
And so I still find myself sometimes like when I'm dealing with like big customers, I still find myself like seeing them and being like, oh, they look important.
Yeah.
And then like I talk to them and they're like,
Normal
I
human
don't
being.
know what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
They just have the courage
Oh.
to be audacious enough.
Yeah.
To just be like so much of a, you know.
Yeah.
Like you just, I think there gets a point when the older you get where you just stop caring.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
And you're just like, you know what? If I'm wrong, like, okay. Because I think that's the humility of being an adult. You get to the point where you are comfortable being okay being wrong because then you'll learn the right way to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas when you're younger, you're like I watch my kids do this. Well, one of my kids do this. But like, and I see a lot of it in her that I used to be like too. Like she wants to know things. She wants you to think she knows things. But the things that she thinks she knows she knows nothing about. Yeah. And it's like that's part of being a kid. Like I get that. I understand it. There's more and more like the older I get, the more I just let it go with her. I'm like, you're going to find out that's not true.
There's nothing more painful than having a conversation with somebody who thinks that they know what
100%.
they're talking about.
100%.
When you know the same subject and you know they are completely wrong.
Especially when you're an expert in your field.
Yes.
That's when it's different.
That's painful.
Yeah, because there's been times where I've had conversations with people and I'm like, okay. Like if you genuinely believe that, like I'm not going to change your mind, but at the same time, like, and I hope it goes well for you, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to.
Yeah.
I'm positive that this is going to end badly.
Yeah.
But you have blinders on. You just don't know.
Until you don't.
Until you don't. Yeah. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh.
If you don't know, now you know. You know.
What other greases? Holy cow, there's so many of them.
There are so many. So
I gave a list.
Kind of along the line of what we were just talking about. Like, I feel like the adults that are around now versus the adults that are around in like the 70s and 80s are very different.
Oh, 100%.
Because like now I think there's a transparency of what we were just talking about. Like there's a transparency of like nobody knows what we're doing. Yeah. We're just like all on this world just figuring it out together. But back then, like, nobody talked about it. Like,
back then, they just did stuff, though. Like, we were talking about this the other day at lunch. You remember, did you get initiated when you were in high school? Did they do that or no?
Initiated into what?
Like high school.
Did somebody punch you?
No. In the high school. So the high school
like
that I grew up in, they would do this thing. It ended like I think the second or third year that I was there. But anyway, the senior girls would take the freshman girls, and they would take them out to like a field, and they would like
shoot them.
No, they would throw like food on them, and
that's hazing.
They did. It was 100% hazing. And then they would take them, they would put them in the back of their pickup trucks, because that's where I lived at. I lived in the middle of nowhere, and they would
What kind of hillbilly place are you?
and they would take them through like it's so Dazed and Confused-esque, but they would take them and they would drive them through like the car washes and here's the crazy thing. This is wild to
The
me.
freshmen stayed.
Parents of freshmen would be there and they would take pictures. Look at Carol, blah blah blah. Like I can't believe that they had the disposable cameras. They're taking pictures of these things or whatever. There's no way.
Wild.
Can you imagine? Just imagine. I was because my oldest daughter is going to be a freshman. I told Bethany, I said, can you imagine the seniors in our youth group taking her out to a field, dumping a bunch of food on her, and treating her like garbage, and then throwing her in the back of their pickup trucks and going through the car. There's no way.
Every single student.
So I think what happened was the girls that were seniors, not targeted, but not that way. Because here's what would happen after the whole thing was over. There was this huge ceremony where it was you're a freshman, and it was very much
I think you're explaining the Hunger Games. I feel like a book was written about it.
But there's these massive friendships that formulated from it. And what's crazy is my dad will tell me all the time. He's we did that in college, we did that in high school, the whole 9 yards. It was always that way.
What?
Yeah, wild. And today, there's no way. Take my daughter. I dare you.
I have never heard of that before.
Oh, yeah.
The only time I've ever heard about that is for sports teams, the seniors or the upperclassmen would take the younger classmen to initiate them onto a part of the team.
They don't do it anymore though.
Not as a whole school. Yeah, because people were dying.
Yeah. Our principals, they applauded it. They were this is amazing. This is camaraderie and all this other stuff. Yeah.
Also, thinking of my two children, because I have one who would be thrilled to throw the food on
and take it way too far.
And would take it so far. And the other one would be so humiliated.
Yeah.
Would not.
It would scar him for life.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane to me.
But you know, we talk about adulting, back then that you just did. I mean, my parents let me do stuff that I would never let my kids do in a million years.
That's
never,
insane.
Never let them do.
Well, I just feel like the adults back then, and there's a word for it, because I was listening to something on how adults are different now than versus in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, because we didn't have all of the information.
100%. Go back to last week's episode on true crime.
Yeah.
You didn't have all that.
We didn't have all of this information. So we were everybody was just going off of the societal norms. And so now we have so much information. We have
you have too much. You overeducated.
We have so many access points of seeing what it's really like and hearing that we're all kind of just
freaking out.
Yes, we're freaking out, but we're recognizing that our parents didn't know what they
don't know.
Doing
they had no idea, and neither do we. We have no idea. No, they have no idea.
Yeah,
and I still think parents that were back then. If you talk to them now, they'll tell you we had ideas and thoughts, and we did what was best for you.
Yeah,
it wasn't necessary.
We're just out there trying.
We're just out there trying to make it happen. We're trying to make things the way that we thought they should be, and it's And even I talk to parents even who grandparents today, and they'll even tell you they're we still don't know what we're doing. A lot of them have no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to spend their time. They don't know they're oh yeah, we were retired. I see more retired people who are miserable than anybody else.
Yeah,
because they're wait, what did we do? And it's oh, so you still don't have this figured out.
Yeah, nobody does.
It's just crazy.
Which I'm why did nobody share that? Why did it's kind of it's when you
kind of misery loves company, right? I'm not going to tell you this because
it's such a slow descent into adulthood.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with becoming a parent, because I feel there's two different types of adults. There's the adults who don't have kids and the adults who do have
kids. That's
a
way different type of adult.
Yes. And it's not either of them is incorrect. It's just a very different life.
The hard part is the adults that don't have kids when they try to talk about having kids. And I'm you don't have kids. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Like, don't tell me that you're tired.
Yeah.
Sir, who has 16 hours to sleep.
Yeah.
Who didn't have to clean up.
You might be tired. It's a different type of tired.
It's definitely a different type.
Yeah.
But like, it's the same thing with being a parent because like nobody told us how hard it was going to be to be a parent. Like, they said, "Oh, it's going to be hard."
Yeah.
But like nobody was like.
It's kind of like having a puppy, though. If you don't go through the first 2 years, like you don't love the dog. So it is what it is.
It's true.
Like I told
or
Beth,
the dog doesn't love you. It's the reason why my
yours
dog
tries to run away. Yeah.
Away.
Like I told Bethany the other day, I was like, "Hey, I'll take this conversation this morning than 5 years ago. Like I like this one better. It's just different. It's a different ball game."
But like nobody says like, okay, so I used to be in my 20s.
Yeah.
This is how your 20s is going to be. Do you think, actually, now that I'm thinking about that, do you think that it's like that? Or do you think that people say stuff and the younger generation doesn't listen? Like people, like, did dads talk to you before becoming a dad and be like, hey, it's going to be hard? And you'd be like, I got this.
I don't know. I like that's so far back. I can't remember.
But like, has anybody talked to you about like being in your 30s and like being like, it's going to be like kind of your hardest years because you're defining your career and you're like, no, it's not. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of brush it off.
It's kind of like the conversation where it's like, if you could go back, like I get this a lot. Like if you could go back and talk to yourself, like what would you say? And I was like, it's irrelevant. And I'll never forget having this conversation with somebody because they're like, what do you mean it's irrelevant? I talk to college students about this because they want to know like what I was like in college and stuff like that. And I was like, the conversation is null and void because I wouldn't listen. Like even if I could go back and talk to myself at 22. Yeah. Yeah, right. He's
at 22,
listening.
I knew it all.
Oh, that kid's not listening to anything that you say. As a matter of fact, you're not even getting a time to talk to that person. Like there's not even like they doesn't. But if I could go back and befriend that person, like and love them through like the highs and lows, that's a different story.
What's the one thing that you would tell your younger self? Like, what would you tell younger, like 22-year-old Jordan?
You first.
I'm trying to think because
even though I wouldn't listen, like still, like what would you say?
Yeah, like what would you say
Love
to
the process.
your younger self? Love the process.
Love the process. Like it, like. So much of my younger years was spent like trying to obtain the thing, whatever it was. Like obtain. I mean, just pick your thing. Yeah. The true joy in life comes from loving the process. Yeah. Like, it's like when you're in the middle of a long run or whether you're, on a long hike or whatever. So oftentimes we're like, I can't wait for this thing to be over. And it's like, dude. Like, it's going to be over so fast. Yeah. It's tomorrow already. Yeah. Like, you're going to wake up one day. And how many country music, like, songs are written about this? So it's gone, right? Yeah. Like
you're going to miss this. You're going to want this back.
Yeah. Like, there's those things. But if you love the process, love the people who are in front of you, love the, like... Don't wish that away. Just be in the moment as much as you possibly can. I think that's where the joy comes in. And even like as an adult, like this morning, we had a situation with one of my daughters, and it was like, I just kind of like it. Like I was like, I breathed it in. I was like, man, you're crazy, but whatever. Like this is not gonna matter. And I even told her that I was like, tomorrow this is irrelevant. Yeah. But today it's important to you, and we're just going to live in this dysfunction, and I'm going to drink my coffee and watch You're Crazy. That's what's going to happen.
That's how you know you're an adult.
What would you say to yourself? That's a good question.
What would I say to my younger self? I don't know. There's so many different things that are going through my head. Like I probably would tell myself to take bigger chances on myself.
Oh, yeah.
Take bigger chances because I've still am very much somebody who like I overthink and I allow that overthinking to kind of like cloud what I actually want to do. So like for a good example.
Bet on yourself.
Yeah. Like I would, and to just like go forth with full, I don't know, authority over yourself kind of a thing. Because like for a great example, so when I was 19, I had moved back from Kansas because like I was going to school. I had like 4 majors that I had like
why not? Let's do them all.
Rolled through. I would have told my younger self, "Hey Kim, if you don't have a major, don't go to school yet." But I had moved back to Indiana by myself. My parents still lived in Kansas. And the only reason why I moved back to this town was because it was familiar. I wish that I would have trusted that like it's going to be hard no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
So just pick the place.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I've
just land
and just start. Like don't stop thinking about like all of the things that could happen.
Yeah.
Because then none of it's going to happen because you're too busy thinking about it.
That's good.
And so like I still constantly am like, just make a choice. Like just make a choice and go. The grass is never going to be like you think it's greener, but it's never going to be greener on the other side, regardless of whether or not, you know, like for me, if I lived in Chicago, I still would have had to like I when I was 19, I didn't have money for like toilet paper. I had a dog and I made sure that he stayed alive. But like I was
bologna sandwiches.
I was eating White Castle, like frozen burgers and pierogies. Like that was my diet. That was it. But like I was just as poor living in my small town as I would have been living in a big city. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like just make the choice.
Yeah.
Just do it. Jump in.
A mentor of mine told me a long time ago, he's like, never say you don't know.
Yeah.
Because you know.
Yeah.
He's like, even if you're wrong, like, just admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but make a decision.
Yeah.
That advice has got me really far. There are people who come up to me in the church and they're like, hey, what do we do about this? And I'll be like, either, hey, let's go find out.
Yeah.
Or, like, let's try this. Yeah. And I'll tell them that. Like, let's try it. And knowing full well we could fail, but who cares? Like if we fail, we learn from the process. So there's not a problem with that.
Yeah, just being okay with like failing.
I think I would have also told myself like people. This is a hard one too, but like people will always have their opinion.
Yeah,
but people's opinion is not always right.
Yes.
Like so be okay with like. I mean, I was watching this footage the other day. I don't even know how I got there, of a band from the 90s. And it was like one of their first shows ever. They're a very, very popular band. They changed the course of history. Stop trying to figure out who it was. But what was funny is the comments in the video were like, nobody knows what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like nobody has any idea what is going on. Like people like in 5 years, everything's going to change because of this group, like, and their influence and all this other stuff. Yeah. And what was really interesting was, it was like, one guy said, I wonder how many people hated this. Like, and if you would buy into that, like they would have never done things.
Hated it then, but now probably listen to it because it's filled with nostalgia.
That which people oppress now.
Yeah.
Is what people applaud later.
Yeah. And
that is something that I would like, hey, Jordan, listen, man, like you're going to get massive kickback because of XYZ. Like stay the course, bro.
Yeah.
Stay the course.
Be okay with it.
Because there will come applause, but that applause is irrelevant, right? Like it's not, you're going to do things for the glory of God. That's great. But like, just remember, people will love you or hate you. What did that? I just heard a guy say the other day, fans only blow when you're hot. I love that. That's a good quote.
That's a good one.
Yeah, fans only blow when you're hot. Nice. And I was like, there's a lot of truth to that.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Anything else you've got to? I would probably tell myself, like...
I'd have a ton. Like, I really would. But I wouldn't listen to it.
I wouldn't listen to it at all.
No,
but like,
no.
I think my other thing is, like, you don't have to, like... You don't have to be friends with whoever you had from the past.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to hold on to all of these things in your past just because that's gotten you to the definition of who you are that day.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of learning to be had from other people.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to kind of just like let those naturally go, because as you progress in life, you will have different, influences and people within your life But like
they're not gonna be there forever.
I was so desperate to like hold on to the friends that I had in high school,
100%.
even though like I didn't even live in the state anymore. You know what I mean? Like at the time of 20, I didn't even live in the same state. How are we going to be friends with?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But they were there for a season.
They were there for a season,
it was good.
and like recognizing that like it's a season.
Yeah.
Everything is a season.
Everything is a season.
Everything is a season, and just
things come, things go.
breathe in the air of that season.
Highs, lows, ups, and downs. What do you want to hear?
I want to hear what's your advice to your younger you.
Your advice to your younger self.
Please, like, keep it. Don't be sad. Like, if you had a traumatic event happen to you, please don't be like.
We're a happy podcast.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry for your trauma, but please don't.
Yeah,
please,
we can't have that.
Please don't do that. Yeah, what would you?
Oh man, I mean, what's the crazy
What
thing
age
of the
did you
adult?
feel?
When do you feel like an adult? Like, I would love to hear that. I think that it's actually a really good one. Like, what happens in this life when you're like, oh no?
Oh, you know what? Another really good point that made me like, for the first time, realize I was an adult. I had somebody who was younger than me. She was getting ready to go into college.
Yeah.
And she was talking about car insurance. And she was like, I don't understand car insurance. And I was like, well, what do you not understand about it?
You're like, oh, I can explain it to you.
I still don't understand a couple of things of insurance, but that's a different story. Anyways, so she was like, so it covers what?
Yeah,
And
good question.
I was like, well, you're able to like go in and kind of like, this covers this covers this.
Yeah.
And she's like, so I have to pay it every month. And I was like, you do have to pay for it every month. And she goes, but what if I never use it?
That's a great
and
question.
I was like, well, I don't know, but
and that's
she
called
goes,
insurance.
And she goes, but it's illegal to not have it. And I was like, it is. And she was like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, I've been paying insurance now for at least 10 years. And like having this moment of like, I'm explaining insurance and like how it works. And like, if something happens, you just call them to file.
And guess what? They might not be there for you. Like you might, and here's the kicker of insurance. They might still not come.
Yeah,
nobody knows.
Like I felt very adult in that moment, and I called my mom and I was like, "Mom, I just explained insurance to somebody."
It is really weird when you're explaining an adult concept to somebody and you're like, "That doesn't make sense," but I can't change it.
Oh, this is how it is. So yeah.
So what happens when you have a kid?
So,
let me walk you through that one.
So yeah, what was your yeah?
Yeah, what was that? Yeah, I would like to know that. I think that's interesting. Like, when did you feel like an adult? Advice is a good one.
Is there an age that you are looking forward to most? Like,
Ooh.
I'm looking forward to like 55.
Yeah, I love. I asked my uncle one time what his favorite stage was when he, because when he was like when he had kids, and I'll never forget his answer because I've used it a lot. He's like the one that they were in. He's like, that was always my favorite stage, was the one that they were in.
I'm very much like that with the boys.
Yeah, and I think the same is true with life. Like which one was your favorite? The one I'm in.
Yeah.
There's been some really hard ones I would not want to repeat, but don't get me wrong. Like, they've gotten to where we're at.
I just watched something. Stephen Colbert. He had like his brother and his dad.
Oh yeah.
In a car wreck or something. And then Anderson, whatever his name is with the white hair,
Cooper.
He was interviewing him, and he was talking about a quote that Stephen Colbert said that he's thankful for the tragedies that has happened in his life. And he's like, because I get to live. And if you love life, then you love the good.
Yep.
And you love the bad.
You'll take it all.
And you'll accept it all as just a part of life, because he was like, not everybody likes their life.
It's a journey.
If you want to like your life, then you have to like the good and the bad.
Yeah, you got to take it both.
Which is hard to say when you're in a season of
It is.
bad. But I mean, like, when you can look back and like, oh yeah,
that
was just a little blip.
All right. So share your thoughts with us, man. We'd love to hear from you guys. You have stories, questions, suggestions on future topics. We'll take all of those. Drop us a line at greaseandgracepod@gmail.com. You can comment, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Reach out to us on social media. Our big social media platform is obviously going to be Facebook. But email obviously works the best, greaseandgracepod@gmail.com. Like I said, until next time, we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.